people, a St. Catherine mother and her child are missing. The police say 34-year-old Sashina Holmes and her daughter, 4-year-old Anastasia Dice, both of Alistair Avenue in Bridgeport, Portmore, St. Catherine, have been missing since Monday, February 10. Holmes is of dark complexion, medium built and about 5 feet 6 inches tall, while little Anastasia is of dark complexion and slim built. The Bridgeport police reported that Holmes was last seen driving her Toyota Axiomotor car with Anastasia aboard in Bridgeport about 9:20 a.m. Holmes was wearing a pink blouse and a blue denim skirt, while Anastasia was dressed in a pink blouse and a floral shorts. The police say attempts to contact Holmes have proven futile. Anyone knowing the whereabouts of Sashina Holmes and Anastasia Dice is being asked to contact the Bridgeport police at 876-988-2697, the 119 police emergency number, or the nearest police station. May I pray for a safe return for the mother and the daughter. Me no want things say nothing happen to them, because trust me, that would not be a nice news. Hearing that mother and daughter were found dead, we no want hear that. Me just hope say she just take away herself from something and gone somewhere and decide say she not answer her phone, and that is it. So maybe tomorrow or the next day we hear say yes, they are good. And that me want hear about. Now, me have a question. Do you buy from Shein or Tempu? If you do, then listen this.
You want to know how countries actually create real wealth for their people and grow their economies? It's through the creation of export industries. Yep, something that I've been saying. You must be tired of hearing me say this now, but I will keep on saying it because it means that you have to be proactive and you have to plan ahead and you have to be able to see the future and get ahead of it, particularly if you have a competitive advantage. So years ago, when many developing countries, or some developing countries, those that were colonized, recognized that globalization was coming, they actually put in place mechanisms to create manufacturing industries or to build their people's skills and services. In other words, when preferential trade agreements were rescinded globally, like from the UK, other countries said, you know, well, what can we do? So China is a big country. They weren't colonized by anybody, but they took a decision to become the manufacturing capital of the world, which is why you buy most of the finished goods that you know use from China, toys, anything you want. If you look at it now, is made in China at a scale that you can't beat them in. Most of the fruits and vegetables that you buy, avocado, tomatoes, if you're in North America, come from Mexico. It's why India said years ago, you know what, we're going to beat the world in generic drugs, which is why most of the generic drugs come from India, and which is why they built the STEM skill sets of their people. And when you look at television now, most of the Fortune 500 companies around the world are headed by, yep, you guessed it, Indians. It's why most of the pasta that you eat comes from Turkey. It's why most of the machinery that you use in automation and to make a lot of things come from Germany. So I could go on and on and on and on and on. These countries have created real export industries. Now, I can tell you that the world is so interconnected that you can actually do well in the world if you have something to sell. And you can actually do well even if you have a small population. Because if you sell to millions of people outside of your country, then you make the foreign exchange to help your people in your country. So a small country like Jamaica with 3 million people is not going to prevail and thrive by only selling to its 3 million people. You actually have to start selling to the rest of the world. So guess what? America voted. And true to form and what I predicted, President Trump won. And he has proven in the last certainly 10 days that he is a man of his word. He continues to implement several of the promises that he made on the campaign trail. And it should not surprise any of you because his strongest allies and voters considered him a kind of modern day Messiah protected by God, and that they wanted this kind of bold leadership to make America great again because they felt that somehow the rest of the world is beating them and that they had some kind of unfair advantage. The rest of the world had some kind of an unfair trade advantage over them. So in his first week, well, certainly the first day, he signed so many executive orders, and you know some of them and what they are. But the one that I was looking for happened last weekend. And I was looking to see if he was really going to slap the tariffs on some of his major allies and trading partners, China, Canada, and Mexico. And as in the words of Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, promise made, promise kept. True to form, he put on the 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico and 10% on goods coming from China as of February 1. What most Americans really didn't understand, and even some people here in Jamaica, is that you think that an increase in tariffs actually is paid directly to a government by the country. It's not. It's the people who are bringing in the goods, those small businesses, who have to pay more at the port because the goods have now increased in price. So where are they gonna get back the money? They transfer it to you, the customer. So that's why if you've been watching the news, people are saying, look, food prices are gonna go up, gas at the pump is gonna go up in America. And President Trump himself has said, it's gonna be a short-term disruption, but I'm not relenting. And if you know anything about this man, him no believe in retreat. No retreat, no surrender. Him no lotion, pet, or powder, nobody. And whether or not you like him, he's going to go down that thing. So Jamaicans have been focusing on ICE and the mass deportations. And yeah, that's important because some of the remittances are going to dry up. But if you have increased prices from one of your major trading partners, it means that their purchasing power is also shrinking. So it's going to have an effect here. And the imposition of the tariffs has really been on my radar because I want to, all the dots are connected because the long-term implications of his actions and their impact on us here at home, there are several. Because if you notice, any one of us who goes online, and let's just type in, let's say you want a supplier, if you are a creative and you want a new camera or you want something, within 24 hours or even less, you can have 100 potential global suppliers at competitive prices. And Chinese producers, for example, have figured out a way to sell their products at the lowest rock bottom prices then to individual countries worldwide. You just have to look at Temu and Shein. And, you know, Shein alone is threatening the viability of many retail stores worldwide. You saw it here in Jamaica, where so many people were saying, look, them now see the Christmas sales that they used to see because people were just bringing in things online. And if you can bring in things for less than $100, then you don't pay duty here either. But most Americans don't understand that China, Canada, and Mexico have inputs in almost everything they consume. It represents over 40% of US imports. You know, oil and gas from Canada, other spirits, you know, they assemble cars for the United States, vegetables and fruit from Mexico, parts and finished goods, as I said before, from China. And so consumers are going to have to pay more. And now that the US has really declared and doubled down on this tariff war, the retaliation has already begun against the United States exports to these countries. You see it. Prime Minister Trudeau, Mexico, just just recently too, Ontario canceled the Starlink contract that they had. So, if we've learned anything from the COVID pandemic, it is that the laws of economics will always trump the rules of politics. So, when the quantities of supplies diminish and go down, the prices will go up. And these countries, you know, can find other places. Unlike Jamaica, you have these countries that have millions of people that can consume, and they can actually go to other places. So, this concept of making America great again actually impacts the entire world based on some of the policies that President Trump is putting in. And you know, you just have to look at Hurricane Beryl. Before Hurricane Beryl, remember lettuce was about $200 a pound, and after it went up to $900 a pound. So, you know, people and relatives in the United States are going to have some major disruptions very, very soon. And President Trump says, look, he's not backing down, and nobody knows when this tariff war or the long-term impact will end, neither for the countries themselves or for the World Trade Organization. So on the weekend, I really thought about it because we have to become proactive. Now, I want to be very, very clear. right? This is a second coming of President Trump. And you can go back and read the article that I wrote on some of the things that happened and in CARICOM and with Jamaica when he was president the first time. You can go back and read my articles. I don't really need to go into some of the dates and what happened there, but what really happened is that some of the decisions that we made as a government really alienated some of our strongest allies in the region. We did things that seemed a little weird, and it concerned me, for example, because while I know that all trade is interconnected, we must also never lose our ethos for being bold, transparent, and accountable. And so when I was reflecting on our foreign policy during the last Trump administration, um, it was essential for me to look back at some of the underlying motivations and goals that made us do some of the things, or the administration that is now in power did some of the things at that time. And I could only presume that at the time, the administration or government aimed at strengthening ties with the United States, which we should always do, and certainly align with its broader geopolitical objectives. However, going forward, is that going to be the same approach? Cockroach no want to get involved in foul fight, and Jamaicans no longer want to get interconnected with other people's political affairs. And that has never been our foreign affairs stance. We don't get involved in people's political elections. We don't get involved in telling them what to do. But in preempting another country's decision means that you also have to identify what is going to be your strategy. Because guess what? This administration in the United States, them not really focus too much on diplomacy. And so perhaps, whereas the last time we were trying to showcase courage and commitment to our diplomatic efforts, it really posed some challenges in the way that we did it. Most notably, we got vaccines last, if you remember, during COVID. And whether you're a vaccine person or not, that's not the issue. The fact was, Jamaica got last. Every other Caribbean nation through CARICOM got before Jamaica. So I want you to think about that. And it highlighted the importance of not only multilateral dialogue, but also how we became so isolationist. So as we confront another term of President Trump, and I really wish him all the best, because as a president, yeah, I would want to meet and I would want to sit with him. His character and personality remains steadfast. I mean, I might not share some of the same value propositions, and he seems even more stringent. But I think as leaders, you have to be able to sit at the same negotiating table. And those Americans who feel that, he was sent and chosen, you can't take that away from them either. That's their value proposition, and that's what they believe. So as Americans go head to head in a trade war with the world, global prices for everything is going to go up. And Jamaicans are not going to be spared this tribulation. You're not going to be spared. So it's really crucial to reassess our foreign trade strategies to ensure that they foster collaboration, dialogue, maintain our reputation for being principled. Let's not get picked off again by anybody or to be used as some kind of lemming for their own purpose and objectives. Let's be strong and let's get to the table. And in doing that, we also have to identify how we are going to, if the remittances dry up, because remittances and tourism are our largest foreign exchange earners. So we have to now engage more and revisit our approaches to enhance Jamaica's global standing while strengthening our regional ties. So anybody that we are identifying working with. The time is not to be complacent, no. The time is to be working. The time is to be planning. The time is to be implementing. So if you really want to, we don't have the avocados to send to the United States. We're not in a trade war with them, but we don't even have any to send because we never thought about it. We never thought about creating any kind of niche markets for global export from our farmers. Why? Because we keep promoting this eat what we grow, grow what we eat. And you guys have chided me for that for a long time, but it's a 55-year-old policy initiative that has not made our farmers rich or wealthy. So let's start seeing the gaps that are going to exist here, because very well the United States might end up in a recession based on whether or not President Trump can get these people to the negotiating table in terms of a strategy that I think he's employing. But in the meantime, let's not be complacent.